another Friday Night Live Q&A where you can ask me and the community questions on keeping your freshwater fish, shrimp, and plants, whatever it may be. We like to have these open live sessions. That way we can all learn because, there's a lot of ways to do this, and learn from everybody is the best way to expand that knowledge and that experience. So that's why we do these Friday Night Live Q&As. And until I start getting questions in here, I will ramble for a little bit. Plus, catch you guys up what's going on because I wasn't here last Friday. And main reason I wasn't here last Friday was I was pretty much minute to minute, didn't have any to spare on Friday for the Aquashella, so I was setting up for that Friday night, and it took everything I had just to get there, get everything going, and build a little mini fish room, which was actually really awesome and really enjoyed getting out and meeting a lot of people and talking fish. Something I haven't done for quite a long time. I used to do it all the time back in the day before I moved, and pre 2020, I should say. And since then, I haven't really done it. I absolutely had a ball doing it, and I'm glad I did. So sorry I wasn't here last Friday, but it was for a good cause. And, you know, it helped relight a lot of passion too on what I'm doing here because there's a lot that goes on with my fish room and what goes on outside. And I don't know, just seeing all the different stuff and just how things evolve and how well the aquarium hobby really is doing. It's very motivating. So, saying that, I've been doing all kinds of stuff around this fish room, and eventually, we're actually hopefully do a plant room tour here. We've been talking about maybe shooting it Sunday, but I've already got a video for you guys. If you guys haven't seen the one yesterday, there's going to be another one out tomorrow, long form. Same with Sunday. And then I've got a couple others already shot and lined up and trying to catch you guys up with things. And I'm excited because now I feel like the content's really flowing, able to keep up with you guys and keep you guys more in tune of what's going on here in the fish room and at LRB Aquatics, which I've been wanting to do for some time. I feel like I did a pretty good job at journaling the journey as I went through it as much as I could, but now it's going to get more in depth, and I'm excited about it. Hello, everybody in the chat. Good to see you all in here. Let me make sure I am in live chat, not top chat. Hello, hello. Henry, Lake Missoula, Ben Sharp, Matt Flash, Carol Cox, Mickey's Fish Tanks. Good to see you guys in here. Lucas says, our Aquarium Fantasy says, Lucas, what did you get at Aquashella? So I actually didn't bring anything back just because I'm just not really set up for anything. And I didn't see anything besides these goldfish that I really wanted. There was these goldfish, they were like 90 bucks a piece, and I just can't do that right now just because I got other things in the burner. But they were so beautiful. White and then black, but where the white and the black met was like this orange line that followed that border, and they were absolutely phenomenal. If I could sex those, I would have bought a pair for sure. I don't know if they breed out very true. I don't know the genetics or breeding of goldfish and how well lines work with that, but it would definitely have probably sent me down a rabbit hole for sure. I kind of kicked myself for not buying them. Kind of wish I did, to be honest. And actually plan on doing an update for you guys with the goldfish and how their no filter, no tech has been doing here soon. All right, looks like no questions yet, so I guess that's good. Everybody's good on their aquariums. And don't really have questions. As far as, I don't know what to really talk about, most of it's going to be coming out in videos here soon on long form. So I don't know if I want to ramble too much on it. But I know we're definitely due for a plant room tour of this. Look at this. Isn't that looking amazing? Lady LRB has done a phenomenal job there. And it's kind of wild if you look back at how we're doing the live Q&As, which actually a lot of times I'll just private them just because it's a lot of like the same talk. So if it's just going to recommend a live Q&A, I would prefer to recommend something a little newer, but you can actually see the progression of this. Same with the fish room on the channel. Which it's crazy to think about how far we've come just in 2.5 years. Lake Missoula Aquatic says, "Do you separate your Goodyear fry from your parents?" So if you want numbers from them and a decent amount of fry to survive, it is best to separate the Goodyear fry from the parents. You can keep them in with the parents, but hierarchy and the way colonies go, you just you won't end up with as many. Pond puppies, any info on line barbs? Are you talking about like the torpedo barb, the Denisoni barb? If you are, it's comes from India. Actually, comes from the same place that my mascara barbs come from, Western Ghats. Absolutely beautiful fish, real fast, loves space. So even when it's just barely swimming, it's like it swims. It's built like a rocket. So longer the tank you can have for that fish, the better. When it comes out to breeding, it does take a long time to get old enough to be able to breed. They'll spawn their eggs into rocks just like most barbs. And as far as like parameters, they don't really mind as long as it's not one extreme to the other, like not too soft or not too hard. And too hard, I mean like 500 TDS, crazy TDS. Talking about like 50 TDS on the low side. Joe MTL says, "Hi, if I mix red cherry shrimp with red really shrimp, would I get reds or wild?" So the genetics of that sometimes will just kind of dilute the mutation of the reallys that you have. And so you'll kind of get like a mix of both, but just not as many reallys. And it'll probably go more solid towards the red gene. And there's a potential you may get wilds out of it. It all depends on the lineage of said cherry shrimp or early shrimp, which can vary just by where you get them and who bred them and stuff like that, and what kind of genetics they're actually carrying. Which is half the fun of it, because I mean, there's only one way to really find out, and that's to really go in there, do it, and find out for yourself. Megan Hook says, "I breed fancy goldfish and it's a large coal rate." Yeah, I kind of was wondering that. And then I was thinking, what would I do with all these goldfish, anyways? Jupiter one says, "Lucas, are you okay since losing your girl cam?" I'm sure what you mean by that. Random Figment says, "What's the best way to breed endlers versus guppies?" Really, it's pretty much the same. Breeding endlers and guppies, there's not really a difference to them. They do prefer harder water and harder water conditions. And best to try to feed, if you got like a good sized colony, if you really want numbers out of them, best to feed them twice a day because they're always hungry. Best in the morning and then towards the night. And I know a lot of people keep them with shrimp too, but you do got to watch shrimp because sometimes, the endlers and guppies, they sleep at the bottom and they can't get eaten. But if you're feeding twice a day for that system, usually works pretty well. Matter of fact, I've got a really good video I shot today that hopefully I can get out here soon to you guys. Updating on a Endler line I've been working on for a long time. And it's absolutely phenomenal. DJ Trap House says, Lucas, do you still have Christmas? We still have Christmas. So yeah, I would say we still have Christmas. We put up the tree, we celebrate, and just have fun as a family and stuff. But yeah, there's all kinds of. That's a deep topic. Adam Whirl says, I've been breeding Platies for years now. Every once in a while, I pick up a high fin variety, but never get any high fin fry. You have any insights as to why? I don't really know. Are you doing your water changes? I know usually if you're trying to get real good finnage out of certain fish, water changes are imperative just because the way that fish like stretch out in their body and the hormones and stuff. Sometimes that can play a big role. Besides that, I haven't a clue. I'm not an expert on that. So if anybody in the comment section can help Adam out here on why his high fin platies aren't throwing high fins, please let us know. I'll keep an eye out and see what's happening. Aquarium Fantasy says the Glossolepis maculosus rainbow are doing well. That is so good to hear, Henry. I appreciate it. Really good to hear. Jackson says, I've been looking for info on breeding chili rasboras, but there is almost none. Do you have any recommendations? I currently have a 5-gallon setup with lots of leaves, some chocolate moss that I'm trying. So, when it comes to like breeding CPDs, I think it's very similar to how the chili rasboras breed. I could be wrong because I've never actually personally bred them myself, and they're definitely on my bucket list. But I just haven't come across like any that were healthy that I was like, ooh, yeah, I got to get those. So, saying that, I would recommend maybe doing a mesh breeder basket. That way, if they are breeding and eggs do fall through or fry get through, they have a chance to live. And I mean, by the shape and the way that the fish acts, just acts as like a rock spawn breeder. Some people use marble. The containers with marbles or rocks, like a deli container, and fish will lay their eggs in there, and then you take that and move it into another aquarium, and sometimes you can get fry out that way as an option. But personally, have not tried it, but those would be the routes I would go. As far as naturally breeding them, potentially, you would think it would actually be done more often, just for the fact that the fish is so small and the mouths are so small, they just don't seem like predatory fish. Now, I haven't had them recently to where I have more of the philosophy of being the fish, watching the fish to see how they really do react. Because even if they're small, doesn't always mean that they're peaceful. Maybe they're only peaceful because they're just so small. So to other fish, they're peaceful, but to themselves, it's really hard to tell. It's like from what I've seen and collected, I had them with Kobo ties at one point, and you know, the tank was just kind of doing its own thing. I didn't really think about like the hierarchies or things that went on in it. So I would like to do that again at some point. But you would think that it would happen more in like really heavy planeted like species only chili reservoir tanks that they would breed out. And I'm pretty sure they need softer acidic water over hard water. And I think that's more towards for the eggs. Because if the water hardness is too hard for the eggs, it could make it hard for them to hatch. Elser says, Hi, Ellerby. Have you ever bred Corydorus cystatus? Would they colony breed like Pygmatus? Thanks. So I have heard that the Cystatus will colony breed like the Pygmatus if you put like rock piles in it. Can't remember if I did those at one point or not. I think I did. But yeah, they'll breed. Same thing with the eggs though. If the water's too hard, it's hard on the eggs. And Johnny Best, it's good to see you in here. And I've actually got some good news for you, Johnny Best. I know you've been waiting on those pygmy rainbow fish, and I told you I had this female that swam at a 45-degree angle. And usually, when that happens with these fish, there's like nothing you can do. And so I didn't do anything. I just kind of let nature be nature. And that fish is actually fine now. So hopefully I could get them breeding at some point. I know you were wanting a line of them at some point. But Johnny Best says Taiwan lily I have from you is getting big from its tiny form. How do you propagate the Taiwan lily? So the Taiwan lily will actually propagate from its leaves. So as the leaves expand and expands out, other plantlets will actually grow off the leaves. But it's easier to propagate it by letting it get to the water source or water surface, and then it just kind of runs from there. Gary Britton, what's up, my dude? Says, "What's up, brother? Made it to the live stream. How's the move with the ponds going?" So moving around with the ponds, trying to get things out. There's still quite a bit to move out, and it's supposed to be getting colder next weekend. So I really got to get a move on getting a lot of that out. But trying to film it as I go. I don't know. It's taking a lot longer than I thought it would, but especially with Aquashella and stuff that happened. So it kind of like took some time away from that. Resident Alien 86 says, "Question: If you could pick one killifish to keep and no others, which killies would you choose?" It says, "Which killies would you choose if I could pick one?" No, if I could only pick one, it'd definitely be the blue Gularis, and then it would probably be the Sporenberg eye. Then there's this other one I can't pronounce or can't ever remember the exact name from it. It's just really rare too. I haven't seen it around for a while. But those would be best. I would keep. Aquarium Fantasy says, "Lucas, do you have any other kind of Shellys or will be getting some more in the future? Those are the Shellys I bought from you a while back and I want to get other kinds of Shellys." So I do have Coddle Punctatus. They're more rock dwellers. I've got quite a bit of the rock dwellers. I really battle between the cichlids. They do really love my water, especially the Tanzanitans and the rocks that I can keep with them. And I love to watch them grow up in a colony and the colors that they show. Sometimes they can be skittish fish, which And also, I don't know, their scapes aren't as planted. I still only have so many tanks. My God, I'm sitting there in my fish room. I have had quite a few open tanks, and I'm wishing for like 100-foot barn right now. And I don't have a whole lot of variety of Shellys, but I would like to expand a lot of that. I need to do something with my cuddle punctatus here soon. I was honestly almost thinking about getting rid of my Shellys just because I want somewhere to put my Synodontis lucipennis and put them in the big pond. At the same time, I want to move that big pond, do something else with that space. So half the time, deciding's the battle. Yeah, Aquarium Fantasy says Lucas proved that priority shipping gets to me faster than express shipping. Unfortunately, that's true. Priority's actually been a lot better too, as far as their time frame. They've been quicker for some reason. And if you guys didn't know, I do offer a lot of what I breed out here at lbaquatics.com. That's what keeps us going, and really do appreciate all your orders to just help keep all this running. Because my age, I ain't really trying to get a new job. Matt Flash says, grow out time for your tuxedo guppies. Thanks. So it depends on how often you do your water changes. So the more you do your water changes, the faster and bigger they'll grow. And that's with like all guppies. So it really takes like, I would say 4 to 6 months for them to get adult size. And it's really prolific line. They breed like crazy. Johnny Best says, thank you for the update on the Pygmy Rainbow. You're welcome, my guy. And you knew I would read that because of the question mark. It's the best way to get my attention. King of DIY, what's up, dude? Glad to see you in here, my brother. Hope things are going well with you. Actually, his videos, I've only really saw like his Instagram stuff recently. But man, his setups and what he's doing over there is pretty cool. And that arowana, that red arowana he's got is gotten huge. Can't believe how big of a beast that fish is. Really cool watching what he's doing over there. But unfortunately, like I don't get to watch full videos very often, if ever, because well, I gotta make them. And Aquarium Fantasy, thank you so much for putting up that .com link for me. Appreciate that. Dennis John says, how do you manage a unwanted pond snail population in a shrimp tank? So really, the only thing you can do is bait those shrimp with some kind of bigger food. You could use zucchini or maybe a big bottom feeding wafer, like algae wafer or something like that, and hope that most of those shrimp get over to that. You could actually put it in a bowl and just try to grab up as many as you can manually, because if you try sticking a loach in there or something else to eat those snails, then they're probably going to eat your shrimp. And so I would say manual removal is the best way, unless somebody else knows some other magical way. All ears. Sometimes snails can be a pain in my butt. Matter of fact, I was wanting to get some clown loaches just to take care of business in some of my library things. King of DIY says, do you do gift cards? Like, can they be bought on your site and used later? Christmas ideas. That's a good idea, actually. I think we did it at one point. Got it. Oh. No, we used to just do it by memory. And then, I don't know. I'll have to look at my website to see if they have an option to make that easy to do. But I like where your head's at, because I know some people, they want to get their spouse or significant other a fish. They don't really want to buy that fish, then give it to them. One, they don't usually stay wrapped up in a present very long, very well. And two, everybody kind of likes to pick out their own fish stuff when it comes to fish stuff. Like I've heard stories of people that would buy like a goldfish for the whole family, but then like nobody would want the goldfish, and then they end up getting all the fish because nobody actually wanted to take care of them. It's like one of those gifts you can't really put on to somebody. You either want it or you don't. That's kind of my sales philosophy. You either want it or you don't. King of DIY says, do it again. I'll buy some to give away. I need giveaway things for my American viewers. Well, I'm sure they would not mind. I don't think I would mind either. That's awesome of you. Sylvia B says, I have two Plecos, different ones. I don't know what to feed besides wafers. They eat the fish that die. So does that mean they can eat something else? Well, it sounds like they like protein. I'm not sure what kind of Placos you have. Some Placos like algae, some Placos like proteins, and some Placos just like wood or just a mix of all the above. So it's really hard to tell without knowing what kind of Placo you have. But most of them will eat a little bit of everything. Mine eat tetracolor tropical granules. It's high in protein. Works pretty good. It scatters around the tank and they can spend their time trying to find it. Johnny Bass says, "How hardy are your King Kong shrimp?" So for me, they're super hardy. They're living in my well water, which is not that good. Um, just because it's got a lot of sulfur, iron. This is softer, so it's around 170 TDS. Now for the molt with your King Kongs, you don't want them in harder water. You kind of want them in more neutral water or slightly under. Then they should breed out like crazy because these things are going bonkers. DJ Trap House says, "Lucas, do you think Nathan sold your old fish house?" No, I don't think he did, but I should reach out to him at some point. One day I'll just do it. Like, hey, still doing all right over there? But he has all the opportunities to hit me up, and he just never has. So I don't know. I'm not like anybody who knows me. I'm like not real messagey or talky. Like it all depends on. I like to do things in person. I'm not just gonna like small chat. I'm not a small chatter. Jody P says, "Do Synodontists reach mature size?" They do, but it takes years and years and years and years and years. Gary Breton says, "Working on leopard frog placos and really want to pursue the Synodontis lucipennis. Can other fish shrimp be kept with them? Opinion." So they can. They work really well in communities, although they look really cool by themselves. And usually, if you want them to come out, you got to get some kind of dither, like a molly or something that'll like swim up above them to make them feel comfortable about being outside. I think they would do all right with the leopard frog placos. You want to get much breeding out of either or, just because they would probably predate on each other as far as their eggs. But shrimp, you can get away with it, but it's a bit tougher, and you're definitely not going to get your shrimp to breed much. Well, I'm glad you like the Vallisnerias, Dinkin Bean Cooter. We got a lot of them. They've been going crazy, and they're super hardy. Like all my plants, none of them get babied. Let me just say that. The fact that they even survive is a miracle. So they're tough. Chef Steve says, "How do you raise cichlid fry? My pearl cichlid has 200 eggs. I moved another tank. Any info on raising them? Thanks." 200 eggs for pearl cichlid. So I don't even know what a pearl cichlid exactly is, but it says like you're on the right. Usually people go towards the baby brine shrimp for really raising any fry because it's a real natural food source that can do well in the water column. Just be careful because if you do overfeed the baby brine shrimp and they do rot out and your system doesn't have enough microbiology to eat up that decaying baby brine shrimp, then sometimes it can foul your water. Be ready for a water change. But yeah, I don't know if anybody else has any tips for Chef Steve. Let us know because I'm not even really sure what a pearl cichlid is. Sometimes you just let those cichlids just do their thing and they'll raise them themselves. That's what I like about the no filter aquariums and cichlids is they do get a lot of that microorganism and food cycle that they raise up really easily. Head on, Joey. See you around. Says he'll hit me later for another 2-hour talk. That's the thing. Whenever I get on the phone with that guy, it's always at least. There's always things to talk about. Certain people I can just keep talking with. Deacon Bean Cooter says, if you could have a second house in a different state, where would you move to? USA only. That's a really good question. Second house in a second state. I've never even thought about that. Honestly, I was thinking about if I'd have a second house, it'd probably still be this state, but just like closer to the beach. But that seems a little bit excessive for me, really. I don't even know. I don't know. Washington was nice, but it's too cold up there. I don't know if I'd want to do that forever. Oregon's nice. Things are a bit different over there, though. There's a lot of nice states. I don't know. It's hard to choose. Actually, Carolinas are really nice. Tennessee's really nice. Anyway, Deacon Bean Cooter says, "What does foul your water mean exactly? Like, you need to start all over with 100% new water?" Um, Honestly, you'd be better off using aquarium water to kind of rinse it out with. That way, you got a mature water coming in. It all depends on how small of a setup it has. But what will happen is that food will rot, and if there's so since people do it so many different ways, it's harder to give an answer because there's a lot of variables between it. So if you're using a filter, you want that filter as dirty as possible. And if you're doing water changes with that, then it's easier for that newer water to become aged enough with all the beneficial bacteria and the seasonedness of nature. Because the aeration and stuff, as it goes through the line, it breaks down a lot of certain things that kind of needs a cycle again, in essence. And so that's why, like, no filter setups, they have a lot of that beneficial bacteria usually sitting at the bottom, or microorganisms and other things already within the column. That when you do smaller water changes, it's not as extreme, and or it can clean up those impurities that may foul the water. So it kind of, if you're doing it in a little container compared to like a 10-gallon, 20-gallon, it can vary. But you would usually see or smell, if you can smell, if your tank smells, then something's wrong or it has impurities. And the best way to clear that out isn't just clean water, is to use aged aquarium water because it can help cycle back the beneficial bacteria from the negative bacteria. That makes sense. It's kind of like when you're fighting algae from plants. Like, you get rid of the algae and use the plants to eat whatever the algae was eating. Vice versa with the beneficial bacteria and negative bacteria. So no, not 100% water change. You could do 100% if you used aquarium water, or even a 50/50. All right, hello everybody coming in. Garcia Aquatics in the house. Got the meeting out with him at the Aqua Show this weekend. That was a good time. Good to see him get around, get down there. Bravehearts 1986 says, "Hey LRB, I want to add river rocks to my aquarium, but I know it will increase the pH and GH. Is it worth adding the rocks? Thanks." So if you're just using like granite rocks, that pH and GH is not going to really do anything from those rocks. A big way to test if a rock's going to actually do anything as far as changing any parameters or even will break down in an aquarium is you can do the scratch test. So you can usually tell by a look of a rock. So if a rock is shiny, you don't have to worry about anything leaching from it. But if it's like dry looking, are sandy looking or chalky looking, and you can scratch it on a piece of concrete and it will like write your name, or you can just write like a piece of chalk, and it's either sandstone or limestone and something that'll break down over time. But even if it does, it doesn't really do that much to your pH and GH. And honestly, your pH and GH, depending on what you're keeping, more than likely doesn't even matter. If it did swing, it would be so slight. I wouldn't worry about it one bit. Dean's Bean Cooter says, I have brown algae in my tank, that all my Vallisneria is doing well, but the brown algae, what do? I scrape, but it comes back. So, I mean, that happens time to time. You could either just do a water change that helps it, dilutes it, and then just give it time as the plants grow out. The diatoms, your brown algae will go away. Happens a lot with new tanks. It's kind of just a cycle aquariums go through. And I am at the bottom of the chat, so if you got a question, that's where I'm at. Here to help y'all. If not, then I don't know. Ice cream sounding pretty good. And I got a long day ahead of me tomorrow. 'Cause it don't stop here at LRB's. But I am excited about the videos coming out for you guys. All right, so not seeing any more questions. But I appreciate you guys all hanging out, joining us for this live stream. And Aquarium Fantasy asked Lucas, do you still have those breeder containers? So I do still have those breeder containers. I sold a few of them, but I'm still sitting on quite a bit of them. I knew I was going to sell all of them, especially for the small ones, because I've just been hoarding so many of those. So saying that, for everybody, the rest of the world around here that I could ship to in America, um, they might be available. I don't know if I'll actually put them on the website, but if you hit us up and you've been wanting those containers, I didn't want to ship them, but I could ship them. Lake Missoula Aquatic says, a lot of people argue with me, but I find TDS more reliable and consistent. Dude, tell me all about it. I can listen to you talk about that all day because I'm in the same boat. pH is a goose chase. TDS is where it's at. If you really want to know if you really got acidic or hard water, all day long. TDS. In TDS. Chi-Town Pass says, do you think we as a community have bad terminology in our use of hard water? My water is kind of hard, but full of chlorine, yet my cousin's water is so hard, he has water staining everywhere. So it is kind of funny you say that because I kind of have soft and hard water. So at 170 TDS, I know my water is acidic and it's softer, but at the same time, I get a lot of mineralization in my water. So if I'm doing water changes, that scaling can actually add up. And that's usually a difference between GH and KH, which can play a lot of role in that. But at the same time, I would say, as far as terminology goes, and to keep it simple for most people, because not everybody's trying to be a scientist over keeping an aquarium in their living room. Some to some extent, some to a big extent. um, I think it still gives that broad stroke of soft or hard water to understand if you're on that acidic or alkalytic line. And there is more to the water than our terminology really applies. As far as like hard and soft water, there is in betweens, of course. I think that's happening a lot in science and a lot of aspects of different things is that we have discovered and defined like the basic A and B's, but not everything that's in between. Kind of like the color spectrum. Like we knew there was red and blue, but then you really get into the color wheel and color spectrums. There's so many different hues in between. So, they may have terminology for it that I don't even know. But as far as I know, I think there's some more that can be done with it. I'm just not going to do it. That's not my role. Tampa Tom says, but I like where your head's at. I like where your head's at. Definitely a critical thinker. I love my critical thinkers. Tampa Tom says, LRB, do you know about the B37 pool filter baskets? That's actually kind of funny that you mentioned that. Let me hit this up because I was just Googling pool filter baskets the other day. Like breeding baskets. But I don't know about the B37 pool filter, so I'll have to look into that. Is that what you're wanting to use it for? Is like a breeding basket? I mean, as long as the design's good, probably works well. I just know some of those baskets can be expensive, and there are some aquarium places now that are kind of making actual fish breeding baskets that are holding containers that are more designed for that. And I've seen like so that's another thing in our hobby, like so many things like automatic egg catchers and stuff like that are coming out. Like a lot of people are tinkering with products, new products, and they are creating some cool stuff. Granted, I don't use a whole lot of that. It is neat to see. I actually did buy an aquarium stand. Usually I build my aquarium stands, but just save me some time. Ended up buying some, and I was surprised what they have out there. It's actually kind of nice. Almost wish me makes me wish I had a affiliate link with the one I bought because you guys would probably like it. And, dude, I'd buy some fish. Aquarium Fantasy says, Lucas, what other projects? But as you guys know, I don't do a whole lot of that. Aquarium Fantasy says, Lucas, what other projects are you working on in the fish room? I have a lot of opportunity to do a lot of those affiliate things too. That was just hard to manage. But as far as other projects working on in the fish room, recently the Neuralina strain of these endlers I've been working on for a long time. Actually been moving a lot around the fish room. I've got these Jesus Maries in there. I'm running out of room. I need to get my albino rice fish moved into another tank. You'll see a lot of that coming up on the new videos coming out. I'm doing my best trying to um, get the footage of what I can when I can. Because I'd be able to do a lot more without having to worry about filming it. But I do enjoy making the videos too, because this is a heck of a journey. Darbwire says, would a little bit of dirt getting into a tank while I feed my white worms to my fish be harmful? No, not at all. Not at all. You'll be all right with that, Darb. A lot of stuff falls in waterways in nature. And, God made dirt and dirt don't hurt. Jay Oliver's Guppies and Aquatics. Good seeing you, LRB. You too, John. I really, every time I see you, always such a happy dude and very helpful to people. And good to see you. I wish I had more time to hung out with you. Maybe next time, for sure. Never enough time in a day, always. Aquarium Fantasy says, will you do a member live stream while you get the fish out of the ponds? So that's the tough part is if I do that live stream while trying to get the fish out of the ponds, then I don't have a video. I should do a live stream just for you guys. I hate doing that too because I don't know. I feel like it's like leaving people out. But at the same time, you guys support me a lot. So I feel like I should make special content for you guys. And I really, at some point, would like to have something more designed for something better for you guys. So who knows? Maybe we'll do a live stream soon. We'll talk about it on there with all the members. Or we can brainstorm. But right now, I'm just trying to keep up with regular content and keep the ball rolling. Keep LRBAquatics.com alive. Oh, matter of fact, I need to do a video of what all's actually on the website because I've never actually done that. And I think you guys kind of need that. There's a lot of cool, neat fish that I've got going on right now. I haven't really put out there. And usually, like, if I make a video, like, only so many people will see that video because they'll only push it to a certain part. The way social media works now is it just wants you to kind of regurgitate the same thing. And when I have such a vast difference of things, I don't know, it becomes this whole other beast. Tampa Tom says, yep, that's what I'm using it for. I like it. It was $16, but should last forever. You could take two and zip tie them together and make a decent size basket. Interesting. I'll have to look at that. For 16 bucks, it sounds like a pretty good deal for what I've seen. And Aquarium Fantasy, my goodness, thank you so much for the $5 super chat and the support. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, thank you. Says, I call dibs on the first LRB shirt when it's ever made. Well, when we get shirts out again, definitely have to let you know. I don't know if you can still order them on Teespring or not. I used to have the link up. You could order them. But I'm not a fan of like Teespring and how they actually operate. So for me, you guys know money doesn't really drive me. Kind of weird that way. I should probably make a little more money, especially with inflation. But gotta have my principles too. So I don't really use Teespring anymore. Bravehearts 1986 says, "Hey LRB, any tips on keeping or breeding hillstream loaches?" So if you type in LRB hillstream loaches on YouTube, you'll actually get a video, and on the thumbnail it says no flow. There might be a couple other videos too, but it shows where I was actually community breeding them with no filter aquariums. You could do it with filter aquariums. It might be a little harder depending on the filter. If you got an airline, easier than like a canister or a hang on the back filter, because if the baby or young hill stream loaches got onto the intake, then well, they would be no more than beneficial bacteria food. And you don't want that. But you can search. I do have videos on that. That would give you a whole visual. Picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So video's worth a lot more. Running water, what is your most popular or best selling fish and shrimp? Wouldn't you like to know? What, so you can just breed it and sell it for yourself? I'm just kidding. It varies actually all the time. It really comes and goes. That's the thing about this hobby. Like, something you think was going to be super popular and at the time was, by the time you get it bred, sometimes it's not. So, what I often recommend when you're looking for the best thing to breed is something that you enjoy to keep yourself and would like to see big schools of or big colonies of. Because if you can't sell it, it's probably going to end up happening. And at least sometimes it takes time to sell them. And so you would enjoy that time while you had them. You know? All right. Yes, sir. I did notice. Thanks for letting me know. That was Henry. He's an awesome supporter. That's my son. A Mr. Placo shirt. Yeah, I need to do the Mr. Placo shirt. And the Aquarium Wizard shirt. There's actually supposed to be a third, a trinity to that whole design, which should probably work on at some point. But yeah, maybe we need to get the merch going. Because I know, like, the posters, I give the free posters out when I do the events like Aqua Show and stuff. And when I talk, and those things always go like hotcakes. All right, I am at the bottom of the chat. That's where I'm at. And I don't know if you guys are satisfied. I'm satisfied here. Can't wait to do a plant room tour of this. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I know it ain't fish, but come on. Come on. You could set it next to an aquarium. I don't know. I think a lot of that goes hand in hand, in my opinion. But I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you all so much for the support. Don't forget lrbaquatics.com for those rare fish, rare plants, and the easy to grow stuff. All homebred, not imported, healthy, and all that jazz. So, till next time, everybody, peace. Have a great one. Dun 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 dun. What are you doing? Trying to sneak cookies? Oh, I see. I want some cookies.